Hello and welcome to another episode of DC Alliance, Chapter 72. With me, as always, is my co-host Clay. How you doing this evening, Clay?
I am doing pretty good, my man. How are you?
Pretty good. I have my Tim Hortons tea here. Typical, stereotypical Canadian go-to.
You've been drinking that the entire time we've been waiting for us to go live, and I legit thought that was coffee.
No, God, no, I wouldn't be able to. I don't drink coffee, so when I do drink it, it's literally like a caffeine shot into my veins, and I can't really handle it, so I'd be exploding even more than I kind of am here. Although I kind of need that pep up, a little bit of energy after some of the episodes we watched this week. It's getting tough, Clay. Some of these shows, thankfully, are coming to the end of the road for their seasons.
Oh man, but we actually got some exciting news today.
Yeah.
We it's so funny. We always think, oh man, it's gonna be a short show. It still might be, to be completely honest, just because of the content that we had that we're going to be talking about. But for some reason, we always find the the most weird things to stick on, and then when we finally realize, oh, it's been 2 hours. But we always think like, oh, Mondays here, we're not going to get any news, and then it always goes rapid fire. Like around, for my time it's noon. For your Twilight Zone, what would that be, like 2:30, 4 o'clock?
Yeah, look at you. You know exactly. Don't even play dumb. You knew. You said exactly to the T my time right away. No hesitation. We're in synergy here, my friend. Synergy.
Oh man, but I am really excited. Before we jump into that stuff though, we do have the plugs, my man. Do you want to go
Yes,
ahead and name those off?
I will give it a try. Our podcast network is ever changing, and I do not write down. I'm not a Chris Balga. I do not have the greeting written down that I can switch up. So I'm gonna have to do this off the top of my head, and let's see if I can remember the changes. We are part of the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network with podcasts 6 days a week, 8 in total. On Mondays, it's World's Finest True Believers with Chris Belga. That's where Chris and a guest takes a look at the comic of the guest choice. That rotates bi-weekly with Ranger Alliance with Clay and rotating guest hosts of Jake, Tony, and Joe. On Tuesdays is this show, DC Alliance, with myself and Clay. On Wednesdays is my show, Superhero Discussions. We're gearing up for Young Justice Season 4. That is fast approaching. Woohoo. On Thursdays is Star Wars Alliance with Clay and Katie. And that goes weekly now. That has changed to weekly. And on Fridays is Marvel Alliance with Chris and Brent. On Saturdays is a walk through the multiverse with Joe. That's bi-weekly still. And on Sundays is Slice of Film with Katie and a guest. That is bi-weekly as well. Both so DC Alliance, Marvel Alliance, and Star Wars Alliance all have their own podcast feeds. Just search Marvel Alliance, DC Alliance, or Star Wars Alliance, and you can get those. They also go live. DC Alliance goes live at this time, 9 p.m. Mondays, 9 p.m. Eastern. Marvel Alliance goes live usually at 9:10 p.m. Eastern time on Thursdays. But with them and all the content they've been getting lately, you never know when they could end up going live. And Star Wars Alliance is shooting for going live Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern time or 6.
No, for us it would be 7 p.m. Eastern time for
Yes.
Star Wars. Yes.
Knew it. Knew it. Nailed it. Nailed it. That's all. That's all the shows. That's everything. Bam. Boom. We have a Patreon account too. Two tiers, $1 tier and a $5 tier. The dollar tier is basically a tip jar. You like what we're doing and you want to help us out, or field the web shooters, or charge the lantern rings, or everybody got a unique twist except me. I just said the tip jar thing. That's probably the dumbest line you can say. And we have a $5 tier, which is where you get your goodies. You get your ad-free episodes, early access episodes, and Patreon exclusive episodes. We are getting ready to do the last Ronin issue 4. Chris will be back in his home soon enough, and then we will be able to plan that recording. I'm excited to talk to you guys about it. I probably will read it again before we talk about it because I read it the first day it came out. So uh, I don't know. I'm excited to talk to you guys about that. I'm interested to hear your take that you said that something you weren't a fan of. which I think I might know what that is just from the reading, but I'll have to read it a second time. But yeah, look for that and all the other goodies. Fandom is coming soon. We have stuff. I'll wait. I'm going to zip them out. We'll talk about that in a little while. But that's everything. We thank everyone that is a patron. We thank anyone that just listens to the podcast, is in the chat, rates and reviews the podcast. Anything and everything is greatly appreciated. And just we're excited to talk about all the good content we got coming forward, especially us, Clay. In 2 weeks, we'll have so much content that pretty sure we're going to have to do a podcast or two about it.
Oh, I am so excited for Saturday and the Monday after. Saturday to experience it, Monday to talk all about it. I'm super excited, but that kind of leads us to the very first thing that we are going to be talking about tonight, and that is that DC, WB, and all of the associated Twitter accounts posted this. It's a 35-second video putting out all the names of everybody that is going to be involved in this fandom. Now, there are some interesting names. For me, I got excited for a few of them. What were some names that popped out at you, Travis?
Well, I had a discussion with a couple people on Twitter, and one of the ones that hopped out to me was Ed Boon, and not because I know he'll be there for the Injustice animated movie, but there were rumblings the last couple days that I've seen online about a possible Injustice 3 announcement, Clay. So if
Ooh,
that
that's gonna be
happens,
that would be pretty exciting, just because there are very large rumors of Marvel getting their own fighting game with the same company. Is he crazy enough to be working on 2 superhero fighting games at once? That would be amazing, to
I
be
know.
completely honest. I see, the thing is, I'm a casual fighting gamer.
Same.
I'm not the kind of person that is like, hey, I'm gonna play this game until my freaking thumbs are raw. I'm not gonna be playing online until I'm like top tier. I'm not going into tournaments. I play Injustice for the story, and then I play every so once in a while and just be like, there's nothing else to do. This is going to just, waste some time. It's been a while since I've loaded up Injustice 2, but even me, I was the kind of person that was like, "Oh, I'm really excited about this game." And then, like, once the release started getting closer and closer, I'm like, I'm not sure if I'm excited about it. Not everybody's like so excited. I dropped $85 for the entire thing, like the collectors
Yeah,
and
you're like
everything.
my friend Chris Bell. My friend Chris Shepard did the same thing.
Yeah,
Dropped
I
the
was like,
deluxe
oh,
edition
should I?
right
Should I?
away.
And
Bam.
and I bought the DLC pass and everything, so I got all the characters for free once they started dropping. I will do the exact same thing here, because one thing that I think everybody in the GUA has in common is that we're a glutton for punishment. We hate some of the stuff that we watch continuously, but we will continue to watch it, and it's because it's DC content. For me, I can suck at Injustice. I can hate Injustice probably maybe once or twice after playing online, but I will continue to buy that game because it's DC content and I love DC content. So I'm really excited about Ed Boon being there as well. For me, I did not notice this until my second viewing of this list. Todd McFarlane is going to be somebody that's there. We know that recently his line of DC toys has been booming. I feel like he has like a new set like almost every quarter of the year. I'm sure there's probably, you know what? I can almost guarantee right now. You can write it down, and then you can use the hashtag Clay told you so. Travis, a little nod to you out there, Snell. I can almost guarantee there is going to be a fandom exclusive Todd McFarlane, who I'm sure it'll be Batman, to be completely honest.
Matt
But
Reeves, the Batman.
ooh, you think it's Pattinson's Batman fandom exclusive? Ooh, Ooh, see, I would say Black Adam.
Could
Oh,
be,
but see,
yeah.
no. See, I want to say Black Adam, but they just did a Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con, Black Adam pop. So I don't know if that would be too
Oh my
similar.
God, no! The Rock would put that on his Instagram, and they'd sell like,
Oh
look
man,
at he
I
sells that tequila.
oh no
I
no no,
bet you it's not
I
even
completely
fantastic.
agree. But see it. I think it's one or the other. I don't think it's anybody else because Urza already has his Flash. Unless they show like the new suit via this toy, which I highly doubt.
I don't think that's how they're gonna roll
I
that.
don't think you reveal a suit with a toy.
Well, you
Um,
don't try to, a
you
la
don't try to with
Avengers,
Spider-Man.
the time travel suit. They were all out like a
um,
year and a half before.
oh man, you know what? I will say either one. I will say it's either going to be Black Adam or Pattinson's Batman.
Very interesting though.
One of
There's
the two.
a
So
couple other names that just jumped out to me. Clay, J.J. Abrams. Like, I wonder if we're gonna
that
get
was
any.
one of the first ones that I noticed. Snell also brought it up. You know, right now, J.J. Abrams is kind of sitting in the background, but his name does show up every once in a while when it comes up to DC news. Of course, he is attached to the Justice League Dark that is going on HBO Max, as well as the Val Zod Superman show.
Or movie. I'm not sure exactly what they're doing with that yet. All these HBO Max exclusives, I'm not sure if they're series or movies. They could be either
Oh,
or
that
by the
does
time they
remind
get
me. I
rolled out.
want to go ahead and apologize to our listeners. It was just said immediately the day after our last episode. I was talking about rumors of like the Supergirl HBO Max series and Keaton's involvement and all of that. And then came out to like, I can't remember who said it, to be completely honest, but excuse me, I have like a sneeze like right here in my face. And like, I know I need to sneeze, but I don't want to sneeze into the mic. But I can't remember who said it, but they said that there are no at this time there is no such project in the works. Now, I will say that is something a studio would say to keep things, you know, kind of under wraps. Frank says, wouldn't be
Very good
shocked
point.
if Michael Keaton's Batman figure, they're banking on his Batman. You know, we were just talking in the GUA chat. We got the sales numbers for August in with comics. Batman 89, #1, sold. Let me actually look at the exact number here. I was telling, because I mean, we had this back and forth. Me and Snell were talking about how good of a sell is this book actually going to be. It was sitting at, let's see here, 134,000 units sold for the first issue. Very, very well done. But yeah, you know, Keaton's Batman is, you know, something really big, really hyped up right now. So, you know, I would not be surprised if Keaton's Batman was something that Todd McFarlane was actually planning on doing for his toy series. Please tell me Abrams is only producing and not writing, directing any of these projects. Right now, I believe he's only producing. Nothing has
Yes.
been solidified in any other aspects of which he is attached to these
The
projects.
game, I think he's right now. Well, I would consider him just the architect of the Justice League Dark universe. That's gonna. I don't know. It may be in the same universe as DCU. Maybe another Earth. We know all that's possible now. But I feel like he's trying to get that on the ground and get that going
You know,
before he gets involved in anything else.
I think we will see concept art, like almost in the same realm that we saw Flash's announcement in the first fandom last year. I think that's how we will see Justice League Dark. We will see concept art. We will probably get one or two castings, maybe. That's me getting a little bold, but I don't know what else we could
That's
get with
their
Justice League
Foggy
Dark.
of the Dark Universe. That's what I was trying to get at. All the game. That's kind of what I think.
Probably, you know, I would say he's probably going to be the Feige of HBO Max, maybe.
He
You know,
very well could be like, well, if it's
building an
still
HBO Max universe that is supposedly a part of the overall DCEU multiverse until they actually show us.
Or fold into Discovery.
Yeah, we shall see for sure. Another name for comic book individuals. I was a little surprised when I saw Scott Snyder. Scott Snyder's name popped up at the very end of this video. It's a little surprising just because Snyder has been kind of pushed outside of DC right now, mainly because he's doing his own thing. He kind of talked about maybe coming back every once in a while to do that or the other, but he's been pretty prominent on doing his own comic book series. So it was just a surprise for me to see his name on there. Frank says, I'm praying for some Static and Green Lantern news. Why is Jon Stewart in the middle of the fandom poster? I think,
because
honestly,
he's freaking awesome.
if you look at the poster, I mean, this goes for any marketing whatsoever. You need to strategically place things that is appeasing to the visual, the visual eye or whatever. And it may be something, it may not be anything, but I think it's mostly just like, hey, this is a very famous character that people know and love. We're going to put him on there. I hope maybe that it might be, something. If we get something for Justice League, or not Justice League, sorry, Green Lantern Corps, that will be surprising, because how long has that thing been in development with no news other than freaking Guy Gardner?
Yeah. Been a while, actually, Clay. You're right. That's one thing I'd love to hear. Frank, I think you never know. I don't think this may be the Green Lantern you're looking for, but you may see John Diggle Stewart in that crossover, because that'll be not finished, but that they'll have a nice bit from that by the time fandom hits in another week and a half. And they're also the masters, if you remember any San Diego Comic-Con, of even taking one episode and cutting a minute out of it to make it look interesting in the San Diego Comic-Con teasers when they had one episode filmed and they were like parts of episode 2. They still managed to cut together a teaser with a minute and a half of old stuff that happened the previous season and 30 seconds of the new stuff.
He is not on the part of the video where it shows all the CW actors.
He also made it. Yeah, I don't know, Clay. But,
I still,
expect it, but
I'm still like, have we not had any confirmation still if he is involved with anything HBO Max related?
We haven't had no confirmation that he is part of that Green Lantern Corps show.
Oh man, it's very iffy for me. Like I want it, but I don't want it, and it's just I don't know.
I just wondered to myself, like he can be a good actor. Like he's done good performances. Now we got to judge him on the material he's provided in the CW universe too. I wonder if you're in a HBO Max production with a completely different people running the show. Although Guggenheim is kind of writing stuff for that, isn't he?
Yes.
Yeah. So,
but also a name that has popped up now. Mainly, probably, I just thought about this. Mainly just because of Peacemaker, probably, but James Gunn is also going to be a part of this. I was like, wow, James Gunn is being a part of this. He's done with Suicide Squad. What could he be doing? But I completely forgot about Peacemaker. But also, just going to throw this nugget out there because we are still talking about fandoms, names that have popped up and everything. James Gunn has confirmed, and I think since deleted his own tweet, that he has a project coming within the DC, whether it's DC EU or just DC in general. He does have another project on his way.
He mentioned, see, this is the stuff about journalism too that really drives me. He mentioned something rather similar to this way back before Suicide Squad even came out. I think maybe at the last fandom or after that. Like he mentioned that he's got other projects that he's going to be working on with DC.
Now, he said he had a project that he was interested in. I'm not necessarily sure that he said that he automatically was already working on one.
But when you tell a story of the story's out that they offered you to do anything you wanted, and then you say, I have an idea for another thing. Well, he'd done that twice because he did the Suicide Squad and they came to him and he was like, do you have any more ideas? Well, I got an idea for this show about Peacemaker, and bam, he got that. So
Yeah,
I think
true.
that which I don't know what you look at the Suicide Squad and how successful or not successful that was comparative to. You can only compare it with the other movies in the pandemic era, and
Yeah.
just to see how some of the other ones hit. I know that we were see you need context for all the numbers. Like we were really in the middle of that fourth wave when the Suicide Squad came out, and you also cannot dismiss the HBO Max being able to stay home convenience of it. So I think it's smart to keep him on the fold. He does. I enjoyed the Suicide Squad a lot, so I'm here to see his next movie. The Rock, one that really made me happy. Clay Pierce Brosnan is going to be there for the Black Adam panel,
Oh
and
yeah.
I'm happy with that because
I think we will get a first look at everybody in the movie.
I think we'll
I
get a short
genuinely
little
think so.
teaser because that's been filmed for a while now, and we got that
Well,
animated history lesson there last time for The Rock. So we got to get something more than that this time.
yeah, I mean, we kind of like as soon as The Rock said, "Oh, I'm done filming," we automatically assumed that everybody was done filming, but we did see immediately after that some actors were still filming.
Yeah,
We never really got an announcement of like, "Oh, Black Adam is officially finished with their filming."
I got to say one thing. If I don't see any new footage, and I got to sit there and watch The Rock say the hierarchy of powers change one more time, I'm going to turn off the video until he's done talking because I can't listen to that. First of all, that is of all the people that I got to say this to, I'm shocked it's The Rock. That is not a catchphrase. If you think it's a catchphrase, it's not a good catchphrase. That is not something that you should be saying over and over again. That like from somebody who came up with like know your role, shut your mouth if you smell what The Rock is cooking. The hierarchy of power in the DC universe. I can't even get it all out. Is that worthy? Just say you're going to kick Superman's ass and just be done with it. He keeps going back to that. He even puts it in hashtags. You got to have so much commitment to think that that's going to catch on. It's not, but I'm impressed with his commitment there.
It's The Rock, though. I mean, like you can say this all you want on this podcast. Like,
I would never say it to his face. Good God, I'd be like,
well, no,
I'm so
not even to his
excited.
face. It's just for the fact that, like, I think at this point you're the one screaming into the void rather than it's usually me. But I'm just excited that we're getting a Black Adam. Like, to be completely honest. Now, I was never really on board for a Black Adam movie, but I mean, villains are popular, a la the Joker.
Or
So
Venom.
exactly.
Anti-heroes, Clay,
Don't make
apparently.
no damn sense.
Yeah,
Don't make
well, same
no
thing here.
damn sense.
Black Adam's supposed to be the complete villain of Shazam, and Rock's going to somehow paint himself in some magical way where we feel bad for him.
But one that I'm really excited for. Two names popped up, different slides, but they still popped up. Sholo is showing up as well as Angel Soto, which is
Yes.
the director for the Blue Beetle movie. Super excited about seeing both of them.
Or series.
Really excited to hear their thoughts on the character, what they plan on doing with the character, where they're probably going to be moving with the movie. I'm really, really excited about all of that. But is there any other names that really popped out at you?
None, because most of them are ones we knew we were going to see, like the Batman stuff, the Flash stuff. I'm trying to think, Aquaman stuff, all that stuff. We know the people get. We know what we're going to hear from that. We're not going to get much. I'm going to be honest with you. The video games are something that really excites me. Like
Yes, I am super excited to see more footage of Gotham Knights. I was already sold. Like the first video, I was like ready to put down money right then and there. If they announce like, hey, pre-orders are going live today, like I will put money down immediately. So I'm super excited about it. I've already said that I may take an entire week and a half off to play that game. But super excited about that. I will say one name I'm really stupid excited about seeing, just because I haven't seen him even in an interview in so long. Bruce Timm is going to be in a panel. I'm sure it's going to be with the animated series that they have announced that is going alongside Cartoon Network and HBO Max.
Oh my God, that's probably why J.J. Abrams is there as well, because he's attached to that.
He's also attached to that as well. I'm pretty sure that him, Bruce Timm, Matt Reeves, they will all probably have a panel together, probably with a host talking about it. All the game says Abrams is executive producing at least 3 HBO Max shows as part of his 5-year, $250 million deal. Duster, Overlook, and JLD, in addition to the Superman movie written by Ta-Nehisi Coates. He's co-writing Duster, though. I will say that Superman movie has been kind of quiet lately. Just saying.
You're not wrong.
I mean, so many people were saying as soon as the Val Zod was announced, they were like, "Oh, watch, that other Superman movie is probably gonna just dissipate in the wind. We'll never hear anything from it again."
Especially how it was brought out, Clay. It was brought out as a PR move.
Oh
And
yeah,
just, like,
100%.
they had negative PR. Oh no, oh look, we're making Black Superman over here. We're good guys. We know what we're doing. So,
Yeah.
yeah. But I guess that'll put us into the final part of the news, which is we have Ben Affleck basically giving a 35-second little answer clip of
Yeah,
coming
I
back to
can't
the
remember
Flash.
where he was.
He was promoting one of his movies. I'm not sure if it's The Last Duel. I think that's the one it may be. You'll
it
see
might
him
be The
around a
Last
nice
Duel
bit more.
because it was that's the movie that's coming out most recently.
Yeah, with Matt Damon. So you'll get more of them.
Yeah, but Variety was asking him some questions about the Flash. He said that it was a very fun time working with Ezra again.
Clay, you said the F word.
Oh shit.
You said fun. You're not a Snyder fan.
Fuck. I mean, fun. Yeah. No, yeah, he said he had a lot of fun working with Ezra again, that he was actually able to go see Jason Momoa on his set. Batman confirmed for Aquaman, I guess.
Well, I've seen people say that they were all in the Flash, and I was like, guys, he literally said, I went and seen Jason, who is filming Aquaman Lost Kingdom.
Yeah. I mean, people still assume that this is like a legitimate Flashpoint movie. I think it's a Flashpoint of their own making, not a beat by beat Flash comic book thing. So we're not going to see the Amazonian Atlantean war. Frank says if Cavill shows up at Fandom, I would cream my pants. He's not in the list. Now, I'm not saying somebody can't just magically
He wasn't in the list
up
for the Man of Steel watch party either, but he definitely zoomed in, showed up, and had a big announcement.
But that was also run by somebody completely different.
Frank, what are you putting ideas like that in my head for? I almost had that completely put off and not remember.
Frank, we had this issue with Travis and Amel. Don't do this with him and Cavill.
We're not having an issue there. That'll come back around one day. I just don't think it'll be tomorrow or anything. But I've already accepted the fact.
No,
when you openly go on various podcasts and say, "Yeah, I'd come back for a season," I never will think that you're 100% done with the character. It's not like Tom Welling. I will not even put on a red and blue shirt and pants ever again.
I will be very, very hesitant to say that either Cavill or even Jordan is gonna show up here. Like I don't think so at all.
Oh yeah, I don't. It's not. If I'm a gambler, I would not put my money on that. I put my money on not showing up. But Frank, I'd love it too. It'd be pretty cool.
It would be cool. It would honestly be cool to finally say, "Hey, we're finally announcing Cavill hasn't lost his job. He's just not getting a movie within the next 10 years."
Or Cavill's a super nice guy, and here we're gonna give him a job now. He can have his own movie. Now, if this one's not good, you can't blame a certain director. So here you go.
Now, as much as we're talking shit and having fun here, Ben Affleck did comment that it was fun comparatively to the mess of the last production. Yeah. He didn't name the movie and he didn't name the scenario, so we all know exactly what he was talking about.
Well, Clay, he's the one. If most of the rumors that were said before have come out to be true. And one of the big rumors was he wanted all the actors to walk off the set. So it doesn't surprise me that he mentioned, even in the off-cuff little hand. I'm just surprised, honestly, he didn't, I just shocked he let it go on for as long as it did. Or, put up with it, sorry.
I mean, they did kind of just there was an awkward silence right afterward. like just a little bit, but I didn't see the complete interview, so I don't know if that was literally the last thing that
That
the
was like a
interviewer said.
last. It was. It was. I watched the interview. That was literally the last thing he said before. Like it was a little jab at the end, just a little put that out there. Yeah, after the previous production. Yeah, I was like, oh god, he didn't care.
Now, other than fandom news, oh well, all the game says at this point, Cavill probably just wants to concentrate on The Witcher and maybe try to get Bond again, as he was the runner up to Daniel Craig last time around. I did not know that.
Yeah,
That
he
is
was.
awesome. Snell swears up and down now that Cavill is a like known actor, that he will not get the role of Bond, and nobody with a big enough name will get Bond. I still
That
think.
he's not wrong. That's something that's the practice of Bond. Uh, or they're establishing like the theater world, like Timothy Dalton when he was cast
Mhm.
had a lot of good theater experience behind him.
See, as far as Bond goes, like I am not like an avid fan. Like I'm a fan of the movies. Like I've seen Casino Royale, I've seen Quantum of Solace. I don't think I've seen anything after that, to be completely honest. Uh I've seen maybe one Pierce Brosnan Bond movie, and I've seen one
Please say it was
Timothy.
Goldeneye.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
And then Timothy Dalton, I've probably seen one of his Bond films.
His
But
Bond is grossly underrated. Like it is a
it
fantastic Bond.
wasn't bad.
If you take it, just the movies though, the couple movies he did. If you take that on its own, just a little Elseworlds Bond story is such a great thing. People have trouble when you try to put it in with the rest of the movies. I grew up on Bond. I watched all the movies from Pierce Brosnan, Daniel Craig, Roger Moore, and Sean Connery. I don't recognize George Lazenby, but I got to say that I'm pretty sure Snell's right there. I think that you're not going to get somebody super established. So Cavill's probably not going to be looked at for that, but who knows? That's that's not obviously what we were talking about here. We were talking about Ben Affleck having a lot of fun back at doing the Flash. He said it was a very fun experience. So
But
yay for fun.
the one of the last pieces of news before we go on to our first ad break as well as reviews of the night. It has been reported that the Batman sequel has been greenlit. We've seen rumors of this. Travis swears up and down that he saw the title card of the Batman and was like, "Oh, this is getting a sequel."
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
um, I I still think that it's, of course, like now that we have had news of people actually liking the like 3 hour cut and things like that, like WB has made their decision now, but I still can't go on the bandwagon or train or whatever of like, oh, after the first trailer that sold them 17 movies. Like I'm not gonna say that like, hey, if Matt Reeves is successful after this, then cool, let's see the success. I'm not gonna be one of those people who's like, oh, I knew, you know.
Clay, you haven't watched the eight movies, have you?
The ones that he's directed, no.
Yeah. Okay, that's the reason why right there. You watch those, you immediately know that when they signed him, he was going to get a trilogy. That he was going to get to be able to plan this out because that is, in my opinion, that's the best of any of those movies. Is the movies he did, and they're fantastic. And he managed to weave into the first one too. So uh, I was one of those people. I did say I knew that they would give him multiple sequels if he wanted them. That was my key thing. If he wanted to do them, because you don't know what the director like James Wan very rarely ever does sequels, and then if he does sequels, he's really not coming back for a third one ever. He even says it here. He's not coming back for a third Aquaman. So I like I said, the you gotta watch the Planet of the Apes trilogy before. Then that Reeves only directed the final two, but you gotta watch that before you watch the Batman because even just some of the characters in that, what he's able to do, and just make you care
Well,
for
let's
the
see
apes.
if I so which
Clay,
ones did he do? He
he did
did the
the last two, Rise and I can't
Rise
Rise
of the
and
Planet of
Dawn.
the Apes was in 2011. Okay, I can watch it. It's a premium subscription of Hulu. not just a regular subscription. So I probably can't
Is
watch that one right now.
is fantastic. Those 3 films, and you like on the game actually says, have you not seen that trilogy? Now I don't know if you can say that for Planet of the Apes content,
I saw
but
the first one
which is
in
okay
theaters.
comparative to the other two. The other two were directed by Reeves, and
War of
they're
the Planet of the Apes was the other one. It
yeah,
was holy crap. That was 2017, so 6 years later.
yeah.
Holy crap.
Well, that's what
Um,
got him. That movie is what, in my opinion, anyway, got him the Batman
I would
movie.
have to rent both of these. Jeez, okay. You know what? I will wait until closer to the actual movie. I will rent both of them and I will watch it. And I will see all of the glory that is
You
Matt
will.
Reeves.
You will. You will. You will enjoy them. I think. I really do. It'll be really refreshing after some of the stuff that we've watched lately.
Yeah, and All in the Game is correct. He says Reeves is already getting his corner of the HBO Max universe with the 2 announced spinoffs. Um, 2 announced, but also like 2 others that are rumored. So, he is getting like he probably, I'm pretty sure he said he wanted his own little universe to play around with, his own Gotham, I think was the quote.
Yeah,
So
which I don't know what's going to happen. I thought, honestly, I initially thought that, like, we get the post credit scene of the Flash being him, like Batman changing from Ben Affleck to him. Honestly, that's what I thought for a long time. Now, with all this stuff, I have no idea anymore because I think they may just keep it all like separate from Matt Reeves.
secluded.
That may have been the initial agreement, but I don't know. I'm really curious. We'll get a lot more uh, explanation and breakdown and fandom. So can't wait for that in a couple weeks. And I guess we could say here because Snell kind of let the cat out of the bag and let everyone know. So he can't blame us for doing it. We'll be streaming live Geekverse YouTube channel. They've already tweeted out. Check their Twitter page. We'll be doing that on Saturday, all day Saturday. Check us out. Myself and Clay are super excited. This is like DC's biggest day of the year, minus the movies. So I look for all that.
Yeah, Frank says right before we go on to break, he says, I'm not discounting any fantastical elements when it comes to Matt Reeves' Batman movies. His prior movies show he loves CGI and weird stuff. All in the Game also says Reeves also did a good job of the original
Correct.
Cloverfield movie, which I have seen. So I have seen
Yeah.
that one. But that's like motion camera stuff. And
Well, that's bottom of the barrel budget too. Like you're
Yeah,
not. Like,
yeah.
He wasn't. So we'll take our first ad break and get into the show reviews. There, Clay. Listeners, we are a ad-supported network. We don't pick the ads or the volume, so we'll give you a quick 3 count, and we'll be right back. 3, 2, 1, and we're back. Okay, Clay. We got to get into some of the shows, but we still got a little piece of news. But it does go along with one of the shows, so I guess we'll start off the reviews with Stargirl Season 2, Episode 8, Summer School, Chapter 8. I laugh at every time we talk about any of these titles for Stargirl. But
It's so
you had a bit of
disappointing.
news that came in just before we started this.
Yes, Joe McHale is set to be a ongoing series regular in Stargirl season 3. So we will be seeing more of Joe McHale after next episode. Now we have seen some stills. I don't know if it's next episode or
Next
the
episode
episode
it
after
is.
that. It will
It's
be
next
next episode. Okay, it's going to be, I'm pretty sure, a flashback episode, or so it seems. We will see the JSA in all of its glory in that episode. I am pretty excited about this. I think Joe McHale is hilarious. I think that he has not really been able to stretch his legs in this show. They've kind of been keeping him very, very secluded. It's very odd that like he has been set to a series regular when we've literally only seen him like maybe 3 times throughout the entire series.
I think you probably honestly think you hit the nail on the head 3 times because we got 2 flashbacks of him, and we did get the present day him going to that diner and talking to Pats.
So technically 4 because it was the 2 flashbacks. Then it was him at the very end of season 1,
Yeah.
which was him like knocking on somebody's door and them answering it, and it was him. and then the one him going to the diner. So yeah, it's very, very odd that they're like, oh, series regular. So there must be something that happens at the end of this season that is going to permanently have him with the rest of the JSA, or the current JSA,
Or
should I
this
say.
next episode. And Clay, we don't know what happened to in the JSA. We assume that the JSA members died. That's what we assume.
Yeah,
But
because
we
Pat
know
told us.
well,
Pat wouldn't lie, would he?
Pat's not exactly pretending, like consulting with his wife. Let's keep this secret. Blah, blah, blah.
Pat wouldn't
So
keep any secrets, would he?
no, wait. Let's rephrase that. A adult character on CW superhero show would never keep any secrets from another character. This is not a trope that's used every week or anything. But yeah, I'm excited about this, Clay, because I want to see him somewhere out there. When this was announced, my former DC Alliance co-host let out a smiling little girl giggle, like a little super young little girl, Greg, because he has a super man crush on Joel McHale.
Oh yeah.
And especially wants him to be Green Lantern. So I know Greg is definitely like giddy with excitement for this.
I'm sure he's ecstatic about it. I'm gonna have to ask him this week.
But I'm curious to see what happened with the JSA. There was one picture I saw of, is it Johnny Thunder? I think that was his name, maybe the guy with the pen, the first person with the pen.
Yeah,
he was in the funeral next to Starman. So I don't know. Maybe just one person from the JSA died, and they just disbanded the team after that. So
maybe.
I'll be really interested to see how many are alive today. Like, will we see any of them? And will we see any action from the old team? A lot of things there, but let's get into the actual episode, Clay. Like I said, season 2, episode 8, Summer School, chapter 8. Pretty cool episode here with Eclipso targeting 2 members of the team in Beth and Rick. What do you think about this episode, Clay?
I don't know how I feel about this episode. It was the best out of the 3 shows that we have watched this week. I'm going to go ahead and say that right out the gate. All in the Game says, which Wilson brother has worked best for you so far in their comic book shows? I would go ahead and say it would be not Luke Wilson.
Owen Wilson from
Owen Wilson from Loki.
I will agree with that. I do think that Luke Wilson,
Luke
and Elizabeth Smart are the anchors for this show, just for in terms of just quality of acting.
Yes, but I think that Owen Wilson has a little bit more range to work with.
Yeah, give him more room to do things. Yeah,
compared to what Luke Wilson is able to do at the CW.
Yeah, like he does
Stargirl.
what was asked of him of being like of that character, but that character is nowhere near as well written as Morbius from from the Loki. Yeah.
So in this episode, like you said, Eclipso is messing with both Rick and Beth. It did get a little confusing. I will go ahead and say, let's go ahead and talk about Beth first.
Yes.
Beth confronts her parents, or so she believes she confronts her parents, because we later find out that it was all a part of Eclipso's illusion of everything. And actually, one thing that we do want to mention at the beginning of this episode, Yolanda left the Wildcat outfit at the front door of Courtney's house. Yes. So officially quitting. I really do hope she comes back.
She's 100. Oh my God.
I really, really do.
Yeah, okay, let me rephrase that. If she does not come back and join the team,
I will be super upset.
I don't know. I'll think of something.
It's like, I want to say that she will, for the like grand fight or whatever, but I can't be 100% confident in it, But let's go ahead and move forward with Beth again. This episode was way on the nose, and it was kind of out of nowhere. I know that, excuse my dog, people. I know that the CW is not afraid to shy. They're not going to shy away from the issues that the real world is dealing with, and I am a-okay with that. I will go ahead and say that I applaud that. They're not afraid to move away from the very hard subjects. This, however, I felt that, and people can say whatever they want towards me when I say this. This literally came out of nowhere, and it felt forced. The reason why is I always forget the town that they are in. Let me actually look that up real quick. The town, do you remember exactly?
Blue Valley.
Blue Valley. Blue Valley is a town that has been portrayed as very cookie cutter, very, very nice. Like, if it weren't for the villains that show up here in Blue Valley, like, it would be like the happiest place on earth, basically, without Disney World. And we haven't seen Beth have any issues. Not saying that she as a character would not have any issues with racism. Not saying that Beth or the actor herself doesn't have those issues. But you could have easily had some of those problems that you see that were forced in this episode happen regularly or randomly throughout the season or even last season to finally touch up on it. Here, the little kid was like, "Hey, you're the wrong color. Hey, you're black. Hey, oh, aren't you people the kind of people that steal things?" Like, it was very on the nose. It was not great. I was very disappointed in that. Now, of course, they give her very strong writing for her, like, facing that fear. Because, again, that's what Eclipso does. He uses your fears, and then it's basically the big trope of overcoming your fears. She's like, "Oh, I'm black and I'm proud." And it's a great moment. Like, it's an awesome moment. And then, we find out that she has to wear the goggles in order to keep the illusions from Eclipso from affecting her mind. Very cool use of the technology, I will admit. And then they even comment later on, like, "Oh, why are you wearing those? What are those?" And like, she has to make up something from her parents or whatever. Yeah, I'm joining the swim team, and whatever. But I think that's really the only problem that I had with this episode. Just kind of that cringy, like, forced dialogue with that. But I do want to hear your thoughts on Rick's kind of problems, or do you have anything to say about Beth's story?
I have something to say about that, which is I felt the exact same way as you, Clay. And like Black Lightning, for example, they go through those problems throughout the first season, second season, third season, like fourth season. They go through those problems throughout the show so that when the person stands up to those problems, it means more to you. It doesn't come out of left field like this did. Like, this was a good moment. I even said to you before we started recording, they made Beth, like, they gave Beth lines to actually make her seem like a strong character, but it doesn't quite make sense why they were doing that when we didn't get any hints of that. That kid is super creepy, by the way. The little boy kid. He's more creepy than the Eclipso actual
It
demon.
is, and the way I'm thinking about this is when I'm watching the show, I'm like, okay, Eclipso is like an alien from a different dimension or whatever. Like, how can an alien be racist towards the human race, or not only the human race, but people of color of the human race?
Well,
Like,
the only thing I can say to that is he's fueled by hate and evil, so that and all those emotions. So I can see that. But what you said before is just the most right. Is this was not said like the way the child was saying, like, "You people don't you people steal," like that was weird to me. That just didn't feel like. And we know
yes,
that those are
those are
stereotypical tropes
horrible
that are used,
stereotypes. Yes, those are
but
horrible
that has not been
stereotypes.
used once throughout this whole
And we are
show.
not saying that individuals do not go through this.
Oh, they do. 100%.
They 100% do. But in the context of storytelling for these characters in particular, like, I understand from me watching this show, I can immediately say, okay, Beth is the only Black individual, so she probably has to live life a little bit different.
Well, her mother even tells her it's a really good little back and forth with her and her mother about her mother having to deal with that. And that makes sense when you think about the 20 years, like you go back 20 years and her filling in for an older white male doctor,
Yeah.
like taking his position. That's all great storytelling, Clay.
Yeah. And then
sprinkle that throughout the season.
Exactly. Like it's I can make those assumptions because I am seeing the visual aspects of, okay, she is Black, Yolanda is Hispanic, Rick and Courtney are white, so they're going to live life a little bit easier. I know Rick is, stereotypically a troublemaker, and all of these things. I can see this and I can make these assumptions, but because you make Blue Valley so Pleasantville like, you can't just assume that, like, oh, everybody knows all these issues, because you're creating an entirely new universe in this show. And I'm not saying that we need to have our hands held and walk through everything, but for you to just throw this kid in here and be like, oh, you're the wrong color. Oh, you steal things. Oh, well, like,
aren't you people saying
it
all
was
that? Like,
very jarring.
Yeah,
it was
very
very,
cringy,
very
especially
jarring.
for a little kid to be saying. It's just like,
and
I don't know. And like you said, honestly, still looking back at it, this was my favorite episode of the 3 episodes.
Yes,
but
very much so.
This is a stain for me. This would get a hell of a lot more praise for me, this episode, if it didn't have this here. I'm not saying don't face these problems, but you do need to do that, and you do show that standing up to Eclipso is what you need to do. Like being strong, being true to yourself is what, like, Calypso's trying to feed off your fears, your doubts, your weaknesses.
And also, I've been saying this since the very beginning of this season. I am afraid for this show because of the writing. I think that this show can be a HBO Max show. All in the Game says, basically, if they hadn't addressed race periodically throughout the show, in a suburban Blue Valley, it's jarring when it comes out of nowhere. Wait. Basically, if they hadn't addressed race periodically throughout the show,
he's asking us if that's what we think, and on the Game, it depends on how it's done. Like, you can do special episodes to touch that, and I'm okay with it. But having a little 8-year-old, I know we're supposed to think that it's Eclipso, but having a little 8-year-old saying stuff like, aren't you people the ones that steal, or aren't you people the ones that, I just, you could do it a better way than like smacking me over the head with that.
Yes. And
like, her mother's story, there's a difference. Her mother's story of facing racism, that was amazing. The most I felt for her parents
was
that
at the end of the episode?
Yes,
though?
very end of the episode.
So it happened at the very end, after everything that happened.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, that is the way you write that for me, instead of having that little kid say these just crude shock things to just get a shock out of you.
And I also want to say, it would be completely different on the Game if, let's say, they wanted to be like, hey, we want to dedicate an entire episode around racism and do from start to finish, hey, this is how we're going to quote unquote defeat racism or live with racism in this episode of Stargirl. This episode, it was split off into 2, yes, but it was so, like, bam in your face that it was just like, okay, you weren't subtle with it. It wasn't, it genuinely felt, and I don't usually say this because it's just something that I don't think.
Oh, don't say the W word.
What word?
Oh, I thought you were going to say woke. I was like, I can't
listen. No.
Okay.
I think at a very small level, you can say this is quote unquote pandering, but this is something that, like I said, racism is something that very, very recently, we all lived through 2020. We all know what happened in 2020. We all know about the protests and the riots, quote unquote, and everything that has gone on. Like, I'm like, people who still think that racism doesn't exist are stupid. I was gonna cuss even more, but I'm gonna keep it down now. I understand racism. I've lived through it. I think that you can go about it smarter and tell a legitimate story instead of just being like racist. Like, because at one point, even Beth was like, I don't know if it was like she was so afraid she couldn't say anything else,
No,
but
but
like
he did. No, he said something horribly racist, and she yelled at him racist.
she said something, and like the only word she could think of was racist, and I was just like, that's not like it was very
No,
weird.
that deserved for what the little kid said, but still, it's just a little back and forth that I don't know. You could have had her deal with a different situation. Like I'm not saying don't deal with it, but you didn't need the little kid coming in and saying all these like things. I don't know. It did not feel. I wonder. I'd be curious who wrote that. I'm
It
really
didn't. It
interested
didn't.
if it was wrote
You
like
you 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 said it. It didn't feel genuine. It felt like, hey, let's place this racism story in the middle here. Like it wasn't like, hey, how can we deal with this? It was like, hey, we need a racism story in this one.
yeah. But
You know,
let's hope that they.
there's two different ways to go about that, and I just feel like they didn't really go about it the right way. So On the Game has two questions here, or he's stating two things. Is one of two. The writing of the CW shows has never really been its strongest point. The mom story was much better. I agree. Her fears should have been just her parents' divorce.
No, her fears have been not like he was hitting on the stuff of not feeling uh like a worthwhile member of the JSA. Everybody like he was hitting on the points like everybody else uh, was chosen by staff, by
Yeah.
Courtney, by like, but you just do what you always do, which is just insert yourself. Nobody in the group likes you. Like it was hitting on a lot of her
Now,
insecurities.
I can believe if they're smart enough to do this. Again, this is CW. They're not going to go the route of storytelling that we all want. Like we've seen this before in other shows. But what you can do is after this episode, maybe more along the lines of season 3, because what is this? This is episode 8.
Yeah.
So we still have 4 or 5 episodes left. I think that you can put a little bit more of that kind of writing dealing with racism later on
I'm trying to think. I
in the
don't know
back end
if
of this series of the next season.
On the Game is in the chat right now. I'd be curious. I don't think Stargirl has really dealt with racism before now. I could be
No,
wrong,
yeah,
but I
I
don't
don't
think that it
remember any.
has.
And that's what I'm saying. Like this could be like, hey, this is a start of an insecurity that she has, and she can struggle with it later on. Like if they go that route, then I can be like, okay, I can be a little bit more easy on that last episode, on episode 8.
Well, let's go into Rick's part because I think we've touched on
We've
this
stayed
for a
on this a
while.
lot. Yeah, yeah. Well, On the Game says, and 2, an episode touching on no doubt the racism her parents would have faced when they moved to Blue Valley would have been a better way to do it. That's what I'm saying. If you make it like not so much the villain, because we already don't like the villain, it's like, he's already evil. Like, yes, like adding racism, you're like, of course he would be racist. But if you put racism within Blue Valley, I think that is a better story because it's something that they would have to continuously live with.
It
And they have to
also
continue.
makes those parents endearing because right now the end of the episode is the only time they've been endearing to me in two seasons. Like
Yeah.
any bit of good parents has been the last episode. Every other time they've ignored their child basically the entire time, tried to get away from their child, didn't want to spend any time with their child
And
at all.
now, like, the one thing I will applaud this show on doing is because of Eclipso's illusions and everything else, I'm not even sure if her parents are actually divorcing.
Yeah, I don't know what's real and what's not, which is exciting, and we'll jump into the
The
Rick part
ending of
that
this
night.
episode, I kind of rolled my eyes because I mean something similar, quote unquote, happens in another show we're going to be talking about. Dealing with heroes being arrested. We'll talk about it later.
No, this was a pretty cool one though, because I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know, especially when Pat picked up the girl and brought her from the water onto the.
Stupid freaking kids, dude. Like, for one, she was face up already. She was quote unquote dead. Why do you have to touch her? That's a crime scene. Don't touch the body. You don't do it. Pat, what are you doing?
Because I'm sorry there, I don't think the CSI is going to get the fingerprint off of Solomon Grundy and run it through the database and figure out. I don't think he's really disturbing as much of a crime scene there.
It
And she
wasn't a
disappeared.
huge river. The body wasn't going anywhere.
Well, also, Clay, they got there and said, we don't hear any or see any other hunters or hear anybody. Rick said there was all kinds of people here. We don't see anybody. What's going on? What's so?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, their things are up and they're already worried about Eclipso.
The
all
big
this kinda
thing
goes
is
together.
that Rick is, of course, still feeding Solomon Grundy. We see him feed him apples this time, I think.
Yeah. Well, I don't even
And
think that's not actually him.
you say that,
Or I
but
don't
I
think
am
it is. I
not
have no
sure.
idea. I don't know.
Like,
I don't think
because
it's him.
even Yolanda in the last episode was saying things like, "Oh, why didn't you kill Solomon Grundy? Like, does everybody know that he's alive?" But like Court and Pat acted like they didn't even know, and like it's so confusing the way they're doing this. Which is like why I'm saying I'm applauding them for this aspect, because I literally have to question what is real. That
Yes.
part I'm okay with.
I
That
love
part
that.
I'm like, okay, that
love
is
that.
interesting writing. If you could just touch up on a little bit of other stuff, it would be great. It'd be golden. But here he's feeding a supposedly, maybe not really, we don't know, Solomon Grundy. And when he's finished feeding him, he does go on this little bit of a rant. Sorry. He is talking about how like he's just very unsure about himself. We get that whole scene in the very beginning of the episode with his teacher trying to like give him encouragement to go to college. And he hears the radio station being like, "Oh, there was another bear sighting. We're going to go shoot a bear. Let me go grab my shotgun." And so he's like, "Oh crap, they're going to kill Solomon Grundy." So he runs. And I'm just like, dude, it's Solomon Grundy. Like, you honestly think a couple of people with a couple of guns is
They
like,
don't know what that is, but he's worried about Grundy hurting them.
that's
Clay.
true. That's true.
That's
Because
what because
then the two hunters, quote unquote,
he even kicked up a stink saying like, what'd you do that for? What'd you do that for to the girl? Because that's all he
yeah,
cares about is Grundy doing it to other people, not
yeah,
vice versa. And you even get more of that Eclipso feeds into that fear, showing those two hunters, like you did say, and ultimately it ends with Rick beating the crap out of his shitty ass stepfather, uncle, whatever we're gonna
and
call him.
that was wild because you finally see him run into Grundy, then you see him chase after Grundy. That's when you see Court and Pat grab the body. The girl wakes up, then disappears. They're like, "Oh crap, this must be Eclipso. Let's go find Rick." And that is when it was, of course, dark. It's nighttime. You have the greatest time to be using CGI. And they kind of move away from the fight. The camera kind of moves quickly. So you're not really focusing too much on CGI or anything. I do applaud them for that. There was, because at one point it looked a little silly, but I'm like, okay, I believe it because of his emotions and everything else. Rick, like, basically tackles Grundy and throws him down on the ground and just starts wailing on him.
We've
That's
seen
when,
that though. That's established from their fight in the previous
well,
season.
yeah,
When he
yeah.
flips over the thing, he can easily do it. Not easily, but he can do that.
And then Court and Pat like run up to them. They're like, "Hey, that's not Grundy. That's not Grundy." One thing that is kind of important, Courtney says that, "Oh, she probably has only one shot left in her staff,
One or two.
one or two, and she uses that shot to shoot Rick. He flies off, and that's when like the veil is opened, and you see that it's his uncle, his guardian. I can't even
Guardian. Just
remember.
say Guardian. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's the one that works for us. There.
And he is completely just like beat to shit. Like, it is bad.
Well,
And
everything
this,
he did to Grundy, he did to
yeah,
his.
he like
Yeah.
it was an illusion. And so he gets angry at himself and he destroys the hourglass. And it should be kind of like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he did that. But last season, he found out the formula.
He had
So
the
like,
book.
so he could very
But this is good.
easily,
It's not even that. It's good for him. It'll give his character more, him figuring out how to actually make the formula.
yes, yes.
So that'll
It
be.
is character progression, but because of this, this isn't a hey, let's sweep this under the rug type of deal. Rick gets arrested at the
Yeah,
end of this episode, and that's that. That's how the show ends. He gets arrested.
which is
Um,
awesome. Great
I
episode.
I thought that was a very very interesting ending to go on. You have somebody who has found strength in her individuality with Beth, and then somebody who is now imprisoned because of what we've seen is his anger management, essentially.
Yeah,
And that is Rick. So we will see the team is breaking apart. And, I think that they will definitely need the help of the original JSA to defeat Eclipso.
I'm really
So,
excited to talk about next week's episode with the pictures we had. Listeners,
oh,
we'll
yeah.
take another ad break and back to talk about Titans. Uh, give you a quick 3 count. 3, 2, 1. And we're back. Okay, Clay. Got to rip that band-aid off. Talk about Titans.
This
Season
episode is so freaking stupid.
Season 3, Episode 10. Troubled Water. Uh, things go from bad to worse for the Titans as they're falsely blamed for poisoning the city, and Crane and Red Hood turns the city against them with a couple of YouTube videos, and which is not shocking actually, seeing some of the stuff I see about vaccines. But I saw a YouTube video, or flat Earth. I saw a YouTube video. I'm not shocked as much anymore when I see people fall for stupid stuff like this. So, uh, I don't know. Where do you want to get into? Where do you want to start?
Okay, okay. So let's see. The episode opens up with the GCPD giving Barbara the rundown on how quickly the water is being tainted, what's going on, and all of this other stuff, right? And one of the most important things is her like right hand or whatever you want to call him comes up to her and he's like, okay, we have people killing people and people doing all sorts of stuff over here. It's complete madness. We need to get an APB on blah 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 blah. And she's like, okay, let's do that. And she gives like a little nod to Dick Grayson, and that's his cue to help them out. They go out into Gotham, the Titans do, and we see them with this like very like before we even do that, this is when we get the video that goes viral in Gotham City.
I actually like that because it
It
really
was
is
so
reflective.
dumb.
I don't
No.
mean I know. I just meant like dumb. Don't even talk about it, because every week people fall for something that's made up and not true and doctored like this. It's not exactly a uncommon theme.
Well, no. I'm not even saying that. It's the fact that, like, okay, yes, doctored, propaganda, whatever. The Titans are bad. And let me give you your savior, the murderous Red Hood. Like, Gotham has known this guy for the past month. He is basically a Gotham terrorist for blowing up the banks and everything else. Like, he has put bombs in people. Like,
They don't know
everything.
about the bombs and people, Clay. They don't. The people of Gotham don't know. All the people of Gotham
You're
really
telling
know
me that
is
there's
that
not a
he killed.
single.
All the people of Gotham really know is that he killed all those like second in command, I guess, the heads of their like right. That's all they really know. They don't know that much about him. That's the thing that
But
we'll
like
get
the
into a
incident
lot
at the
of stuff
bank,
that's
the very
absolute
beginning of
nonsense.
the season, the very beginning of the season, when like the bank tellers were actually like part of the gang of the Red Hood, and like that's when Barbara got mad at the Titans and everything. You don't think the news was all around that the next day?
Yeah, but what do you have from that? Like video, all that stuff. I don't know. We didn't see any of that out there. This is the only thing we've seen. So I don't know if GCPD kept the rap on it, or because every story isn't coming out there. Like Batman, everything Batman didn't come out. I'm sure some did, some didn't.
I
I
don't know.
know that's
I
stuff
feel
that
like
you
they
gotta
would
hit.
say. I feel like they
Yeah,
would say something about
I
Red
was
Hood
just about to
though.
say that stuff I'm having the head canon, which is not a good thing to actually have to do. Like that's not I shouldn't have to head canon an excuse into that. But I don't know. It's just I didn't get that really. Like I don't even understand that part of the plan to get the entire city to hate the Titans. Really, like I'm like okay, and even Red Hood is kind of like questioning it. Like what? And I don't even
Yeah.
really understand what like they
Oh,
paid
that's
off the
another thing.
cops.
That's the other thing. Okay, I can't remember if it was last episode or this episode. I'm pretty sure it was this episode that like Crane and uh and Jason are basically having a heart to heart to the fact that like, oh, you're not mad at me for like for double crossing you or anything. Like,
For the drugs, for showing out drugs.
and I'm just like, what do you like? This doesn't make any sense. Like, if Crane is as badass, quote unquote, that you want me, if you want me to fear Crane, and then he's just like, oh no, you're like, you're fine. You can double cross me whenever you want. I know you're crawling back to me. Like, that's not something that this Crane would supposedly do. But yeah,
I
he's doing it.
um, I gotta say, we don't know anything that this Crane will do. So I'm gonna say that there because I don't know anything, and anything he does, I
Oh,
don't have any idea what he's going to
I
do.
have an
So
idea of something that is going to say
on the game, isn't this supposed to be easily the best reviewed season by both critics and fans? It's supposed to be, but I see positive buzz like that on the game, and I want to love this show so bad because I love all these individual characters. And I think that they're all perfectly cast. It's just I some of the stuff
okay.
doesn't make any sense. Like let's talk about Donna storyline.
Okay, I was just about to go there.
She
Okay.
walks to
Okay.
go to walk into Gotham
Whoa,
and then
whoa,
passes
whoa,
out
whoa,
into
whoa. Hold
this.
on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Okay, so we got the ending of the last episode. She saves Bruce without any knowledge of how that's even possible.
Yeah,
She saves
we
Bruce.
can't go back into that. We can't go back
I
into
know,
that because
no,
you're
no,
going
no.
to get me furious.
Okay, so we know headcanoning, like you said, it's not something that we're supposed to do, but
No.
we're doing it. She runs as fast as she can, apparently. She's like the Flash to save Bruce Wayne. And yet she can't get into Gotham.
Or
And
flies, but I don't.
she has to ride a taxi.
Yeah, I don't. Well, actually, no. You get that in if you paying attention in when you get disgusted and go, "Oh, is the key here?" Because the lady in the Themyscira daydream fighting ground, training ground says as much of you're not like you're still doing the same things you did before. You're not fully embracing and that, what I'm thinking that means is powers, like being able to fly and all this stuff. Now, I don't know if that's
I'm
actually
not entirely
true.
sure what that entire sequence was.
Oh,
Like,
Clay, I had no idea. There was nothing ever established before
there's
that.
nothing important in that
And
entire.
where's Bruce? She doesn't mention that. Is she going to
No,
mention that
Bruce
next
is
episode?
she saved Bruce and was like, "Oh well, you're nice and firm on this couch, so I'll just leave you here." Oh, it's still burning. See ya. Like
And
I have no idea what happened to
and
Bruce.
with Red Hood, they have his girl there talking to him on the phone, and you've had such a long break between when the last time these two characters interacted, and she knows everything now after Beast Boy has talked to her. I don't know. I just don't know. Like you need to have her. You need to have her more and more and more in the season if you want to do what I think what they're going to do, which is use her as a way to get him to not be bad anymore, or get him to give it up to drugs and turn on Crane.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that's the route they're going. But Frank says, I mean, Wonder Woman uses a plane. You're not wrong, but we're not seeing anything here now. So we get the small thing. Now I have since read that the last episode they in fact did poke fun at themselves with Donna
Yeah, she did, and she
mentioning the
does it
fact,
here again too.
okay, that's twice now. If you acknowledge the death a third time, I'm rolling my eyes and I don't want to see it anymore.
They're
Like,
not acknowledging the death more so than the stupidity of how she died with the shock.
yes,
But yeah,
but
I know
we
they don't need
we
to do
were
it
making
anymore.
fun of you before you were making fun of yourself. So like
Well,
you going
Clay,
along with the
one thing,
joke
the one
is
thing about that, no, the one thing about that is not, we don't know how much the writing staff has changed, so you can't exactly say that before. You don't know who was responsible for that episode and who was responsible for the episodes that are making fun of that, because that is a distinct possibility. The person that, uh, like, they could just be trying to get their shot to him because they were not associated with that episode. So I don't want to see it anymore. Like you said, it's enough's enough. But if I was one of those people and then got a chance to write an episode, I would probably try and do a little like backhand snide comment
well,
like
that's the thing.
here.
You can poke jab at it one time. I feel like jabbing at it twice. Okay, we understand that you
Pick
acknowledge
at
it
it too
now.
much and it'll be
Like,
sore.
yeah, exactly. Like, please don't do it a third time. But after that, we get this small interaction with the Titans and the supposed people that have drank the water. Now, a very important detail in the very beginning of this episode, one of the officers told Barbara that they cannot tell the difference between the people who have and have not drank the water. These people are foaming at the mouth and are
Some of
essentially
them aren't, though.
zombies.
Some of them aren't. Some of the people that come with the picket signs that drive them out at the end, they're not zombies. They're regular people just speaking to them,
But I
saying,
don't
"Get the hell
think
out."
they drank the water. They
That's
are
what I
just
mean.
I
That's what I
think
mean. They're
they
just
are
regular.
scared of the events that are taking place.
They saw the video.
Yes.
That's what we're
Yes.
led to believe
Yes,
anyway,
but
is
they
that
are
the
not the ones
video.
who drank the water. That's what
No,
I'm
I know,
saying.
but what they're showing is that this misinformation is just as dangerous as this chemical.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
That
by smashing us over the head with that message, of course.
yes.
But there isn't much more really to say. I think we're gearing up for
Well,
a
okay, so there was some random
showdown.
stuff in here that I was not a huge fan of because it didn't really go anywhere. For one, Beast Boy is playing around in the Bat Cave. He finds something to do with the Lazarus pits, and then bats just start to swarm him, and he's like, "Oh, hey!" And it's like, I think, and this is just a wild guess, I think the showrunners or the writers or whoever are trying to tease the fact that he's like getting interested in other animals to possibly turn into one of those. But
We got that,
but you're still showing me that he can only turn into a tiger.
but we also got that in the first episode where he's looking at. We don't need to see that again back in the
Again,
ninth.
picking at the scab. Like
And
you keep showing us this, but you're not actually showing us anything.
and all in the game asks if you had to pick one show, DC's Titans or Marvel's The Defenders. This is not going to help with with my
Oof.
rep with the Marvel Alliance guys continuously saying that like DC Alliance is just a branch off of Marvel, but uh, the Defenders would be my choice. I have actually really enjoyed that show, especially comparative to Titans. So
Yeah, you're not wrong though. Unfortunately,
you
I
just
would
if you didn't if you had a completely different Iron Fist, man, you'd be rolling.
I
But
would
yeah,
I would promote more seasons of The Defenders as a canceled show than Titans as an ongoing.
but yeah,
Uh,
Clay, I guess that kind of we're at the end of the episode here.
well, one thing is Blackfire.
Oh yeah, I
Uh,
almost stole
s-
or
so
took.
so this all takes place because uh, Red Hood and Crane have basically compelled some of these dirty cops to go against the Titans after they decide to turn themselves in, which I think is complete bullshit, by the way. Dick goes to Barbara and he's like, I'm going to turn myself in, right? He says that I'm going to turn myself in. The very next scene, he goes to the Titans and says, hey, we need to turn ourselves in. If I was one of the Titans, I would have been like, hey, no, you said you were going to turn yourself in. I don't want to do anything. Like, I have, like, I could just stay in this mansion and not get hurt. Like, why are you like, you go ahead and turn yourself in?
Someone didn't watch Fast and Furious, because family, Clay. That's why. Family.
They're not much of a family. You see the shit that's
Okay.
going on?
You're,
So
you're
because
not
of
a
that,
member of the Titans. You're not a member
because
of
of
the
that, Blackfire gets shot.
Yeah.
She gets shot. That's when Superboy goes berserk, starts fighting all of the SWAT in GCPD. They have to disperse. Barbara ends up shooting an officer, which
He's
leads
gonna
to
kill
her
Dave.
arrest
He's
at
gonna
the
kill
end
Dave.
of the episode.
Yeah.
But the important thing is Starfire takes Blackfire to this church, and she's like, you know what? I'm going to heal you. Starts using her powers, and then all of a sudden, her energy is starting to be absorbed by Blackfire. She gets freaked out. She tries to move away. Blackfire, if you're not looking closely, Blackfire actually holds onto her arms and pulls her in closer and then disperses her powers, showing that Blackfire, I think, did this on purpose. And they're not very subtle with it because she acts very alien in this interaction. She's like very stoic. She's like looking at her hands. She's like, I don't know what just happened. What's going on? And Starfire's like, oh, this was your plan all along. Blah, blah, blah. And like it's so funny just the way that Blackfire kind of like tries to play it off. She's like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. What are you
Well, I will give
talking
her
about?
a bit of credit, because we don't know. This is the first time this potentially, which I think it is, from what she said before. Yes, it is. This is the first time she's ever had powers in her life.
Yes.
So the feeling of those powers, especially those fire power, like the powers that Starfire has, that may get you to do that. I don't know. Like, that is something that's a choice, obviously, but that's something that I will say has a bit of context behind it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that has a bit of context behind it, because if you're feeling, but we've seen some people do some stupid stuff when they got powers for the first time, when they, like, I would say All Star Superman, for example, when Lex Luthor finally gets the powers, he kind of goes a
Yeah.
bit crazy and like, oh my god, I can feel all this stuff that I never felt before. So that's kind of where I think about when I see that. Clay, does it look a little ridiculous? Her going like looking at her
Yeah.
hand, or
She's like
weird?
very, very like stoic or whatever.
But
Yeah.
I don't know. You are right. She does grab a hold of her, but that could just be from fear of what's going on, or because they did. I'll give Titans some positive credit. They have done enough to make me question if Blackfire is actually like gonna be. I wouldn't say good, because she still feels like she could kill somebody, like a villain. But is she going to be part of? I really think thought she was going to be part of the team, full blown part with like sided with Superboy.
Like, I'm sorry, like after what happens to Jason, like you have a Titan turn bad. Like, if anybody has the inkling or the feeling that they may turn bad, kick them off the freaking team. Like, I'm
Oh
sorry.
well, not gonna lie, might have been part of the reason that he went down that path. You kicked him off the team.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, doing what you're doing. Let's spread out a few more
All
redwoods.
you have to say is, hey, he has no association with us. He's a villain. Boom. Not a part of the team. Not my family. You know?
Frank preach, because Frank says all this Red Hood solo show talk is nuts. I feel like
Oh
Donna
my
can carry
god.
his show.
Did you see him when he posted that? Oh no.
I would love to. Let's not crap on somebody's probably biggest acting opportunity and getting excited and wanting to keep going with it. Like, more power to you, Clay. Stop urging. More power to you there. But I'm in agreement with Frank. I think that I would love to see a show with Donna, especially with other people writing her. But we kind of end there, Clay. Just don't know really what Red Hood, what Crane's plan is still, besides taking over the mansion.
If
And
Crane
honestly,
doesn't grab his mask from the Batcave, I'm gonna be so angry.
Clay, not only that, well, I was expecting when he said, like, come on, I figured Jason Todd he wanted Jason Todd to bring him to the Batcave, and I honestly thought Jason Todd was going to kill him. But I've gotten to the point now where I'm hoping that every time Crane comes on the screen with Jason Todd, I'm just like, is this, please snap Jason Todd and just kill him? Like, please. But no, we haven't
They
gotten that
both
yet.
need to die.
I need to get rid of him. I don't need to see that character ever again. But
let's go
I'm excited to
ahead.
see what Donna's going to do coming back. I really am, and I hope we get
She
some
doesn't
cool
even
scenes
make
with
it
her.
inside of Gotham by the end of
She's
this
on her way.
episode.
She's on her way, Clay.
Oh, well, technically, I guess the other person put her inside
She had to
Gotham.
go to the Twilight Zone for 30.
Yeah.
I'm really curious about one thing. When she had that vision, because time passed, because it was in the daytime, and then when she came out of the vision, it was nighttime. Was she just lit down on the ground? Was she like in the trees, or was her whole body taken through some other plane where you couldn't like poke at it with a stick, see if she was alive or something? Because I was thinking about that, like her in that dream world, and I wouldn't think about it if you just showed her coming back the exact same period of time. But you showed me that time change. You showed me that it went from daytime to nighttime.
Yeah.
So what was she doing in those? How long was she there? And what was she doing there? I know that's sneaking way too much into the show, but Clay, final ad break of the night before we can talk about Doom
Yes.
Patrol. Listeners, we're ad supported network. We don't pick the ads or the volume, so I'll give you a quick 3 count to adjust your volume, and we'll be back shortly in 3, 2, 1. And we're back. Okay, Clay. Season 3, episode 4, Undid Patrol. Our last episode that we got to talk about for this evening. What did you think about this episode?
Doom Patrol just likes to be Doom Patrol. There was one scene in particular that as soon as it's a scene with Jane, she's looking at something. And when she let's just get to it. So we're gonna make this fairly quick because I know it's starting to become tomorrow for
Clock just struck midnight.
for Travis over there. So this is called this is episode 4, Undead Patrol. So I didn't watch this until literally 2 hours before we started recording. I couldn't watch it before Titans. I could not watch it within the same day as Titans. I needed a day to solely say, hey, I want to be happy, so I'm going to watch this on just a regular day. And unfortunately, this wasn't great. And I was telling you, I can't remember if we were saying it literally here in this episode or before, that I feel like this show is in danger of being in the same realm of the wackiness of Legends. You know?
Yeah, before the show, I think you said that.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm a little worried for this show a little bit, but like you said, this show has more room to do what they want because it's HBO Max.
Yeah, they're not put into that PG box.
So I guess because of the events of what happened in Purgatory / Hell, they are now zombies.
They turn into a zombie. We don't know how, which is something I would have loved to have seen.
They explain it's because of the I can't remember the character's name in the first one or in the last episode, but that like green witch girl puking all over them is what caused them to turn into zombies. That's what they say here in this episode.
Okay.
So their like skin starts to peel. Like at one point, Cyborg is like itching his arm, and then he like rolls up his sleeve, and it like rolls up his skin with it. And I was like, "Dear God, what the hell is going on?" And like as soon as that happened, I'm like, "Oh, they're zombies." And you see, I think it's Rita lick Larry's bandages, and she's like, "Oh God, what did I just do?" They all start to find out that they are zombies, one after the other. I thought it was really, really wicked and kind of this is a part that I actually like. When Larry falls down the stairs, you hear every bone start to break, and then like he starts to get up, he cracks his head back up straight, and then it like flops back down, and that's when they start to actually like walk like zombies and like start to look like zombies. So they call upon, I always forget this character's name, the John Constantine.
Willoughby Kipling.
Yeah. So he is going to help them, but by helping them, what they have to do is they have to find Chief. and the head agent that was once a part of the what was that agent? What was the agency? The
Oh, you can try to guess that.
I was just listening to the
Bureau
guys.
for Normalcy.
Normalcy. Okay, yeah. So the Bureau of Normalcy. I was just listening to the season 1 review of the DC Squadcast guys,
Oh,
Tim and
okay.
Scott. We're just talking about the zaniness of the first season. So we are reminded that of that in the like little like previously on Doom Patrol in this episode because he is now a werebutt.
Yeah.
Yes, that is a thing. While all of these other Doom Patrol members are zombies, uh, you can kind of go. You kind of know where I'm going with this. They are able to talk, and Willoughby is actually able to like understand them, even though they're like talking in like zombie talk. And the werebutts start to attack them. Jane grabs one of the butts. It completely opens up, and you see the orifice of the butthole. And I'm like, oh, she's about to eat ass. And she does. Like, I was like, I know exactly where
Rita
this
does
is
too,
going. Rita does too.
but she's
Um,
way more disgusted about it.
it's this show. I don't know what to think of this show anymore. Like it
I will
is
say this,
zany.
Clay. They
I
actually brought back the butts from the first. I did not think they were going to bring them back. I thought that was a one-off thing of the butts, and they somehow brought it all the way back around to it affecting this guy in this story and actually getting more. They continued on with the story of the butts. Somehow they managed to take a joke and continue on with it like this.
I just don't know. I don't know how they're able to do this. This is the show that I am watching, and I continue. The thing is, I continue to enjoy this show so much more than Titans. Um, this like even this one hiccup of a show, I would call this episode a hiccup for me. It was not great. Um, we do know more a little bit about what are they calling her now? What was
Shannon.
the Shannon was the ongoing joke.
Yeah.
Shannon. So real quick on the game says based on what I've seen from Diane Guerrero in both Orange is the New Black and Doom Patrol, I feel she should be a bigger deal than she currently is. 100% agree.
Facts. Facts.
Her acting is great. I absolutely love her as an actress. I really do hope big things from her. I think she should be nominated for awards that she is not being nominated for currently, just based off of her performance as Crazy Jane, to be completely honest. Um, but we learn more about Shannon and how she is she is a bird.
She can transform into things, we'll
She
say.
can transform into other things. Yes, we know that she has transformed into Rita. Rita quickly picks up on this when the introduction of time travel comes into play. And man, I was going to say, if Travis is right on this, I'm going to be so upset that he was able to call it and I wasn't. But I don't think that's the case. I don't think it's the case because she says that she loses her memory. We see the silent film and muscle memory starts to play off and she does this crazy wicked dance, and then immediately after she looks at the screen and then they start to do the dance and she's like almost like dumbfounded, like holy crap, how was I able to do that? Then we get the whole story about the butts or whatever at the very end. She makes a deal with Niles with like, hey, if you help my family, I will give you the information that you want, which is very confusing. I guess I wasn't paying too much attention. They eat Niles.
Okay, Niles explains to Willoughby Kipling that he found in research that when you're a zombie, if you eat brains, you won't be a zombie anymore.
What?
Yeah, he said they
I
changed the
missed that, I
whole.
guess.
He said they changed the whole thing for Hollywood to make it seem more appealing to Hollywood. The whole if you bite somebody, you'll get it, and you'll go bite another person like that. So that's what they said there. So that's
Okay,
why
so
they
I
threw the
completely
brain in.
missed that
Yeah,
part because as soon as they eat him, they're like, "Fine." I'm like, "What
yeah.
the hell just happened?"
They said that earlier, and he actually asked them like when he says
So,
it. So that makes more sense when he says, "Jane, I want you to eat me." That makes more
yeah,
sense because he actually,
and
yeah,
so they eat him. He is gone now,
yeah.
and I think that is kaput for Timothy Dalton in this show.
Oh, I will never
Probably.
say that with this show. Are you
Um,
kidding me?
maybe for like, I mean, we kind of get like
He could have artificial intelligence. Like he could
probably,
have his mind
but
put somewhere.
we near the end of this episode though, we see Shannon. We're gonna keep calling her Shannon. Look at this silent film again. She's watching the dance and everything else, but she notices something immediately after Rita comes in and talks to her, and she's like trying to be a very uh just a good host, you know.
Yeah.
Hey, you're in our house. Like I think you should, you know, be good to us. You should be nice to us. Hey, I made some oatmeal cookies. Would you like some? She's like, yes, that would be nice. So Rita walks off, but that's when Shannon sees something and the reflection of a mirror in the silent film. She looks closer and it's Rita. Frank says, I've realized Doom Patrol is better to watch on my phone. When I'm doing cardio, I pay attention to everything. You know, I do that a lot whenever I go down to the small little gym here at my apartments. I will put the my phone right there on the treadmill and I will for however long the episode is, I will go nonstop.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Uh, what I do is if I'm watching something like Hulu, whenever there are ad breaks, I'll slow it down, but I'll continue going. And then when the show actually goes, that's when I, you know, boost up the power or whatever. But in you see Rita in the mirror, I think Rita had a like debuting director role in something this, and that is how Shannon knows her because we see she still doesn't remember who she is. And if she has muscle memory, then her muscles remembered Rita's face, her figure, and that is why she can transform into her.
It could be that. Also, we got to remember too that Rita was a much more terrible, selfish person
Back
back
then.
then. So she could have done things to give Shannon the terrible name that Niles Calder has for her. She could have. There could be real lively here. I'm really interested in that. One other thing I really want to just talk about. We had a great scene with Cyborg and his father, like a nice little back and forth discussion. Especially, it's nice to see
Oh
you
yeah.
not
Yeah.
forget about what Cyborg went through last week with his mother and her saying some things. He immediately just says, like, asks his father over to like interrogate him about that, and then
Yeah.
his father doesn't say anything and takes off pretty abruptly after being like accused. So just like we talked about with like Titans or with Stargirl, for example, with Starman. If you're going to introduce something and make us like, oh, I wonder what this is, please don't take 5, 6, 7, 8 episodes before you bring that
See,
back.
and that is something okay, so again, I'm sorry for any of our listeners who are not with us here live to give us crap about this live, but Doom Patrol has a like a full cast of characters that every episode, each one of these characters has a side story that I want to know more about. In Titans, what is Superboy doing? What is Beast Boy doing? Well, like these characters don't have actual stories that I want to get attached to these characters for in
Well,
that show.
Beast Boy is supposed to be learning how to transform into different. If he was learning how to transform into different animals, you might be in on that story.
Exactly. Like they don't take the time to show what these characters are willing to do, or they're not developing their characters like Doom Patrol is. And I think that's
Or
wild.
Superboy is like, why? Why was I made? Why am I like who I am, why, like you could have him trying to
Because
find
even
Lex Luthor and attack Lex
because
Luthor because he's half of Lex Luthor.
because right now the only characters that we've touched on Jane, Cyborg, Rita, Shannon, Robot Man, but like even Negative
Larry.
Man, even Larry, like he's dying.
Yeah.
And we now know, and I've been wondering that since the very beginning of this season when the negative spirit left him. If you read some of the like classic comics, like they basically say, hey, you cannot live without the negative spirit. So I was expecting him to be like dead a lot sooner than this.
Well, I figured that he would get really sick, but Negative Spirit would return to save him.
Like I'm sure he will, but like I'm excited to see
Yes.
this like because he's like vomiting blue stuff, which I
Yeah.
would only assume is like the radiation and like all that crap that he was exposed to. Now he has like a giant ulcer in his stomach. Like Frank says, Doom Patrol showrunners have a game plan and they stick to it. I which is crazy, Frank, because Doom Patrol is a spin-off show. They came from Titans. On the game says,
on the game watching Why the Last Man.
I am
not.
currently on the I haven't watched all of them yet. I've only seen the first 2 episodes. Like I've been wanting to listen to Joe's review.
Check out a walk through the multiverse with
Walk
Joe
Through the
on his
Multiverse
network.
is talking about
He's
it.
covering these episodes.
My wife Abby, she watches serious shows on the weekends. Movies and serious shows on the weekends. So I'm waiting until this
Comedies
Saturday.
on the weekdays.
Yeah, like
Oh God, awesome! Like Brooklyn
like
Nine-Nine, New Girl,
like
all that kind of stuff.
it's well for her, she's a reality TV person, so she watches Bravo and 90 Day Fiance, Real Housewives, all of that throughout the week, and then she watches like we're watching Why the Last Man, and Squid Game. I've only seen the first episode so far, but those
Squid Game is like
I've heard it's like bonkers. But we're watching those 2 shows over the weekends, and every Tuesday we watch Murders in the Building on Hulu.
I thought
But
you were gonna say Stargirl.
no, that's Wednesday morning the next day. But it's so crazy that this show is a spin-off show from Titans, and it's become so much of a better show. I'm sorry, I have to say it. Like it's so much of a better show than Titans, I think can ever be, unfortunately.
Don't step out on a limb too much, dear Clay. Like don't put that much of a hot take out there in the world. I'm pretty sure like a solid 90% of the people that watch both shows would agree with you on that one. Not gonna lie.
I genuinely think like somebody like Brent thinks Titans probably is a better show than Doom Patrol. I know that Doom Patrol is not in his
I don't know
wheelhouse
if
of
Brent
shows.
thinks that. I think that he would. I think he probably thinks that he would enjoy Titans more than Doom Patrol. But I don't think if he looked at both, he would say that Titans is a just objectively just looking at him on mirrors, not on your enjoyment. I think he would take with the critical reception. I think he would say that Doom Patrol is the better quality show right now.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong on that. That's just a guess. But
Frank says, I love Doom Patrol so much, I wish it was in the DCEU. Frank, it's in the DCEU multiverse. So,
yeah,
you know,
it was in the Crisis crossover, Frank.
Exactly. But I think that's basically it for the show, guys. I really hope for better things in episode 5 of Doom Patrol. It ended, I feel like, on a really good note. It leaves us wanting more. Titans, who the fuck knows, to be completely honest. And I'm super excited.
3 episodes left, Clay. 3 episodes left.
3
Wait,
episodes.
3, I think, or 2.
Yes, because it's episode 10. 3 episodes left, and then Young Justice. I'm super excited about Young Justice, which will be over at Superhero Discussions, not here, because
we still have
apparently we don't like to talk about good shows.
We have Stargirl and Doom Patrol still, you know.
But again, guys, we do have Fandom in 2 weeks. Super excited about that. Travis, where can they find you?
They can find me on Twitter at Travis_156. You can drop me a line. We can chat about DC anytime. As the Clay's point about Fandom, I'd say we'll probably get a lot more higher quality news next week as we get closer to fandom. Usually some news leaks out, so I'll be curious to see if we get any of that next week. And like Clay said, hopefully some of the shows, episodes, Titans are better. But I'm really happy with Stargirl because that was kind of not as good at the start and really seemed to turn itself around to like my favorite show of the week so far, like last couple weeks. So excited about this, excited about fandom. And Injustice, the animated movie, I can't wait to see that. That's coming down the pipe, and then a couple days after fandom.
I want to suggest to you, completely up to you, but we can talk about it offline. I think the show before fandom, we should give 3 unexpected announcements. 3 unexpected
Ooh, I
announcements
like
from
that.
each of us.
We'll do that next week.
I think that would be really fun to talk about. But yeah, of course, you can always find me at Fanboy Clay on Twitter. In the link or in the bio, you can find the link tree to all of the shows that I host, that including DC Aligns, Batman News Weekly, Comic Book Legion Podcast, Weird Science Marvel Podcast, Weird Science DC Podcast, Weird Science Manga Podcast, Ranger Alliance, and of course the newly added Star Wars Alliance. Right before we go, Frank says, don't forget, guys, the hierarchy of the DC universe is about to change. Right. That is right, Frank. But with that, guys, thank you again, and we will see you guys next week.
Later, guys.